Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Today, I am here to share a story with you. A story of deep sorrow that has brought immense grief and a crushing blow to my life. This is not a happy day. This is about a pain that only a mother can truly understand. It's about my children, my son Ibrahim, my two daughters, Asha and Kaniz. If you are new to my channel today, please, I desperately need your support. My heart feels heavy, and your kindness is the only thing that helps me carry this weight. Please, subscribe to my channel and like and comment on this video. Your solidarity means more than words can say. So, let us begin this painful journey. I have 3 children. My son Ibrahim is my strength. My elder daughter Asha. She found love, and she married. It was difficult, but she was honest with her family. But this story is about my youngest girl, my daughter, Kaniz. Kaniz was always the softest, the most innocent. I remember her childhood so clearly. My beautiful daughter, Kaniz. She was laughter wrapped in light. When she was small, she would never leave my side. We knew she was growing up. We knew she was meeting people. As a mother, you feel these things. You have a constant knot of worry in your stomach. My fear was always from my small, delicate Kaniz. I always thought I was prepared for this. I knew girls fall in love, but I never imagined the manner in which my daughter Kaniz would choose to break her mother's trust. I never imagined the disrespect. Kaniz started keeping secrets. I would see her on the phone, her voice hushed, her eyes always looking around. I would ask her, "Kaniz, my child, what is troubling you? Talk to your mother." She would always dismiss me, saying, "It's nothing, mother, just my university friends." But a mother knows the difference between a friend's casual chat and the intense, possessive tone of a secret love. My beautiful daughter, Kaniz, was hiding a great truth. I should have insisted. I should have taken her phone. I should have watched her more closely. But I trusted her. I trusted my daughter Kaniz. And that trust, it was the knife that cut the deepest. I thought back to Asha, my elder daughter Asha. She brought her proposal to us. She sat us down. She gave us the chance to object, to process the news. But Kaniz, my little Kaniz, she chose a different path. The day everything shattered. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember the sunshine was bright, mocking the darkness that was about to consume our home. Ibrahim had just left for work. Asha was visiting her in-laws. It was just me and my daughter Kaniz at home. I went into her room. Her wardrobe was open. Her favorite suitcase, the blue one I bought her for her university trip, it was gone. Her passport was gone. And then I saw the letter. Just a small piece of paper, folded neatly, on her pillow. My heart just stopped beating. I felt the entire world tilt and fall. I sat on the edge of her bed, reading the few lines she had scribbled. She said she loved him. She said she couldn't live without him. She said she was sorry, but she was gone. My daughter Kaniz was gone. I didn't cry then. The shock was too great. I just stood up and looked at the empty space where my child should have been. The silence in the house was deafening. It was the loudest sound of betrayal I have ever heard. The first hour was a blur. My mind kept shouting, "This is not real. My daughter Kaniz is just playing a joke." But the empty wardrobe, the missing suitcase, the physical evidence was undeniable. I had to call my son, Ibrahim. That phone call, it was the second worst moment. Telling Ibrahim was the agony. I felt responsible. I failed to protect my small, innocent Kaniz. He answered, tearful, and I could barely form the words. I just managed to whisper, "Kaniz is gone." She ran away. Ibrahim's reaction was explosive. First, silence, then a roar of disbelief. He wanted to know who, where, how. He felt the shame immediately, too. He kept repeating, "Mother, why? Why did Kaniz do this to us?" My elder daughter, Asha, she was more controlled, but her sadness was sharp. She cried for days. Asha kept asking, why couldn't she just talk to us? Why the secrecy? But their pain, Ibrahim's anger, Asha's tears, was only a mirror of the betrayal I felt from my daughter Kaniz. We are a family built on trust. My husband and I, we always taught our children the value of honesty. My husband, when he finally came home and saw the truth, he didn't shout. He just sat down and didn't move for hours. His silence was louder than any scream. It was the sound of a father's world breaking. How could my daughter Kaniz think this was the solution? If she loved this boy, why the fear? Why not bring him home, face the conversation, face the difficulty? We are not monsters. We are parents who only want happiness for our children. The shame was unbearable. Not the shame of the relationship, but the shame of the secrecy. The shame that my daughter Kaniz believed her family, her mother, her father, her brother, and her sister were enemies she needed to run from. That is the true sting of the betrayal. Did she not value our love? I kept running over every conversation in my head. Was I too strict? Did I miss a sign? I remember one evening, Kaniz was unusually quiet. I offered her tea. She refused. Now I see that moment as the start of the end. I was blind. The pain was compounded by the stark difference between my two daughters. Asha, my elder girl, she also found love. But Asha showed us respect. She maintained the family honor by being open. Asha said, "Mother, Father, I have met someone, and I love him. Please, meet him, judge him. Tell me what you think." Even if we had disagreed, Asha gave us the opportunity to guide her, to advise her. She gave us the chance to remain her parents. But my daughter Kaniz stripped us of that dignity. She treated us like prison guards. She chose a path of absolute isolation, pushing her own mother away. This is not just a runaway story. This is a story of a heart breaking under the weight of unnecessary secrecy. And this is the message I want to share with every daughter listening. Never, ever run from the people who love you. The shame of the parents is nothing compared to the fear and uncertainty you will face alone. Think of your mother's tears before you make a sudden, final decision. Think of me, Sakina, thinking only of my daughter, Kaniz.
The initial shock wore off, and the silence was replaced by a dreadful urgency. We had to pretend. We had to construct a believable lie for the community. The shame, not the shame of a child falling in love, but the shame of a child running away, was a physical weight on my chest. We told people that my daughter Kaniz had gone to visit a sick aunt far away. We became masters of the half-truth. But every time the phone rang, every time a neighbor asked, "How is Kaniz enjoying her trip?" my heart would seize up. I felt like a criminal protecting a devastating secret. Ibrahim, my son, bore the brunt of the questions. He would come home from work, his face tight with anger. He couldn't understand why Kaniz hadn't trusted him. He kept saying, "Mother, I am her brother. I would have helped her. Why did she choose to humiliate us instead of trusting our love?" Ibrahim's anger was my punishment. It was a clear accusation. My failure to create a safe space for my daughter Kaniz to confess her truth had driven her to this desperate act. The entire family was fractured, not by her love, but by her choice of secrecy and flight. My husband, he tried to search. Quietly, discreetly. He called every friend, every distant relative. But Kaniz had vanished completely. She left no trail. This absolute silence was terrifying. It wasn't just the betrayal that hurt now. It was the fear. Was she safe? Was she being taken care of? I had to hear her voice. I needed proof she was alive and well. We knew the name of the boy. The letter gave us that much. My husband found his family's number. And then came the third worst moment. Deciding who would make the first humiliating call. Ibrahim was against it. He felt that by calling, we were validating Kaniz's disrespectful choice. He argued, "We must let her feel the consequence of her actions, mother. She must understand the gravity of the wound she inflicted on our honor." But a mother's heart doesn't care for honor when her child is missing. I overruled them all. I told them, honor can be repaired. A missing child cannot be replaced. My fear was paramount. I had to know if my daughter Kaniz was breathing. I didn't call the boy. I called his mother. I practiced my sentences 1,000 times. I had to be strong. I had to sound calm, not desperate. The phone rang. A cold, distant voice answered. I introduced myself as Kaniz's mother. The immediate stiffness in the other woman's tone confirmed everything. There was no apology, no sympathy, only defensiveness. "Yes, I know who your daughter is. And yes, my son is with her. They are safe, they are adults, and they made their choice." I felt the desperation rising. I begged her, "Please, just let me speak to my daughter Kaniz for 1 minute. Just let me hear her voice so I know she is well." The answer was a wall. The other mother refused. She said Kaniz was too upset to talk to her family. Too upset? She left a devastating trail of destruction, and she was too upset? This confirmed my deepest fears. My daughter Kaniz was being manipulated, or she was too ashamed to face the truth. The silence continued, but now it was a chosen, deliberate silence. It was a complete rejection.
Weeks turned into a desolate expanse of time. The house, once full of the light and laughter of my daughter Kaniz, was now a tomb. Every chair she sat on, every piece of clothing she left behind was a silent accusation. My husband and I, we barely spoke. What was there to say? We were living the consequence of a decision we never made. My only ritual became going to her room. I would sit there, simply breathing the absence of my daughter Kaniz. I would rearrange the books on her shelf, desperately searching for a sign, a reason, a clue I had missed. This prolonged silence was worse than any argument. It was the confirmation that our bond, the sacred bond between a mother and her child, was completely and irrevocably severed. Ibrahim became distant. He channeled his anger into his work, refusing to speak Kaniz's name. He felt the honor of the family was permanently compromised. He saw her choice as an insult to everything we had given her. His silence toward me was a constant reminder of my perceived failure as a mother to foresee and prevent this collapse. Even Asha, my elder daughter, grew weary. She visited less, knowing the house was thick with unspoken grief. The family that once stood as a unified whole was fractured. Kaniz's choice to run away didn't just affect her life. It inflicted a deep, systemic wound on all of us. Then, one rainy evening, after nearly 3 months of agonizing silence, the phone rang. It wasn't the boy's mother this time. It was a local, distant relative. He told my husband that my daughter, Kaniz, was back in the city. She needed help. I didn't care about the shame then. I didn't care about the argument. I only heard the word, back. My child was within reach. My husband was initially furious. He wanted to refuse, to maintain the discipline. No, Sakina. She made her bed. She must feel the consequence of her dishonorable action. If she wants to return, she must beg forgiveness. I looked at my husband, and for the first time since she left, I spoke with conviction. I said, "You teach discipline, but I teach love. Our daughter Kaniz needs our forgiveness more than she needs our lecture. We bring her home. Now." I was not asking. I was declaring. My son, Ibrahim, drove us. When we found her, my daughter Kaniz was unrecognizable. She was thin, pale, and her eyes held a haunted look I pray no child ever has to wear. The boy, the one she loved so fiercely, was nowhere to be seen. She ran to me, not saying a word. She just clung to my clothes and wept uncontrollably. It was the sound of 3 months of accumulated fear, guilt, and desperation pouring out. I held my daughter Kaniz, and in that moment, the months of pain, the public shame, the anger, it all dissolved into the relief of holding my child again.
The story why she returned was complex, but simple. The boy was not the man she thought. The love was not the refuge she sought. She had found herself isolated, scared, and abandoned. She had nowhere left to run but back to the people she had betrayed the most. The first words she spoke were not, "I am sorry." They were, "Mother, I made a mistake. Please don't leave me." And in that plea, I found my only consolation.
My daughter Kaniz was home, but the wounds to her soul and the scars on our family's trust, those would take years to heal.
The true cost of secrecy. My friends, we have reached the end of this painful story. My daughter Kaniz is home, but the cost of her mistake, the cost of her secrecy, was immeasurable. It was not just 3 months of suffering. It was a wound that changed the fabric of our family forever. We learned that a child running away doesn't prove their love for another person. It proves their fear of their parents. And that fear is often misguided. The damage was done not when she fell in love, but when she chose to treat her own mother and father as obstacles rather than allies. Ibrahim, my son, though his anger has subsided, carries the scar of that initial betrayal. He struggled to trust Kaniz again. He saw her action as a lack of respect for the sacrifices we made. We learned that rebuilding trust is infinitely harder than rebuilding a shattered vase. My husband and I, we aged years in those 3 months. The weight of public shame was nothing compared to the fear of her safety. Every single day, I felt the sharp sting of thinking, my child believes I am not safe enough to tell her truth. That realization was the deepest pain a mother can endure.
And this is the ultimate lesson I share with every daughter, every young woman who is listening to the sound of my voice. I plead with you, learn from the sorrow of my daughter Kaniz. If you love someone, if you have made a choice about your future, you owe your parents this fundamental act of grace, honesty over flight. Do not run away. Never treat the home that raised you as a prison you must escape. Your parents may object, they may cry, they may even shout. But their pain is temporary, their love is eternal. When you run, you inflict a permanent wound of betrayal that your parents may never fully recover from. Remember, the difficulty of the conversation is temporary. The loneliness and the danger of running away are permanent. A simple discussion with your mother is always safer than a life of fear and uncertainty with a man whose true character you may not yet know. I finally told my daughter Kaniz this: you came home to your parents because we are the only guarantee of unconditional love in this world. Your loyalty must always rest with the family first. Yes, my daughter Kaniz be's home, but I hope no other mother has to learn this painful, solitary lesson. Choose honesty. Choose respect. Choose your family.